Hi everyone, it's Luis again. Listen, today I decided to make a video on knowing how old your plant is. I'm going to post a question about these two orchids. The question is, which of these two orchids is older? Is it this tiny one, this dendrobium, or is it this tall, big one, a eulofia? So by the end of this video, you will be able to determine which of these two orchids is older. And also, we're going to be able to determine how old this plant is. So to start off, I'm going to show you some diagrams on how to determine how old an orchid is. Oops. Okay, with this diagram I'm showing you is that most orchids, sympodial orchids, meaning that they grow sideways, they grow in one direction. So usually you're going to have the older pseudobulb going to a newer, going to the newest. Now depending on the angle in which the eye grows, you're going to have a zigzag pattern to the growth going from the older pseudobulb going to the newer pseudobulb. Now, orchids that grow in this manner are very easy to determine. For example, new growth, older growth, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very easy. 4 bulbs equals 4 years old. Another orchid would be this encyclia. The encyclia, you're going to count the pseudobulbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, going on 8 years. This plant is 8 years old. Now, it gets tricky, but if you follow the way I do it, it's very easy to determine how old a plant is. So, now the plant, when it grows and goes in one direction, at any time it can split into two. And it might split in opposite direction, or it can split in 3 or 4 directions. You just don't know what it's going to do. But I have several examples of each here, so it will be easy for you to tell which one do you have. Now you have this kind of pattern where the plant goes bulb, 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 and then at one point it splits into 2. So when you have 2 growth in the same year, you only count these as 1 year. So when you have 3 older pseudobulbs and 2 new ones, you don't count the total of pseudobulbs like you have here. When you have this growth, you count all the pseudobulbs, and that's the number of years your plant is. When you have this pattern, you count these 2 as 1, and then you add the remaining. So you have 3 and 4. So this plant will be 4 years old and not 5 years old because you have 5 pseudobulbs, but these 2 grow in the same year. Okay? So I'll give you an example of that. This plant has these 2 growths that are growing in the same year. So you have, on the other side, you're going to have 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 and 2 that grow in 1 year. That's a total of a 4-year plant. So you have a 4-year plant and not a 5-year-old plant because it doesn't follow the same pattern. Now I'm going to go to this one. This one right here has a parallel growth pattern, meaning it decided to split and grow two directional growth at the same time. This is this plant. You're going to have these old pseudobulbs that grew one pseudobulb at the same time, and then it grew the other two at the same time. So on this one, if you go backwards, you just count the growth. 1, 2, 3. And this one is the same, 1, 2, 3, and they grew at the same time. So this is a 3-year-old plant and not a 6-year-old plant because it doesn't follow a straight line. It broke off here. This is where it broke off. So these two pseudobulbs are 1 year, then 2 years, and then 3 years. And to make it easier, I'm going to do this. That's 2 right there. That's 1 year. And then over here, you're going to have another year. And then the last 2 are the 3rd year. So you have 1, 2, and then 3 years. That's how you tell how old this one is. So there's another pattern that your orchid could take. This one is directional on both sides. If you have growth going in one direction and the opposite direction, what you do is count backwards. You go 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So technically you have a 4-year-old plant with one main pseudobulb where it's split off into 2. And I have the example here. This plant is this. Since he has two directions, the way you can tell what the direction is because there's a new growth here and there's a new growth here. So it's split off going in that direction and in this direction. So what you do, you count backwards. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where it splits off, like that. So you're going to have 4 years of growth in one direction, 4 years of growth in the other direction, and then you have the main bulb where it's split out of. So this plant is an 4-year-old plant and not a 9-year-old plant because you don't count the pseudobulbs total, because even though it's going in a straight line but it's going in opposite directions, you have to divide it by half. So there you go, you have 4 years on one side and they grew at the same time, so you only have 4 years and 4 years, and with the other one will be 5. So there you go, 5-year-old plant. Now where it gets a little bit more difficult, it's when it breaks up into 3s or 4s. And it's real easy to tell. I made a diagram of, this plant. This one right here. So on this one, since all you have to do is count the leads, there is one lead here, one lead over here, and there's another one over here in the back. So using my technique of counting backwards, this is the growth pattern. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you count backwards, and where you count the 6 spots tells you where the plant split up. So you're going to have 4 in the main lead. So I'm going to split the plant so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you divide it there. Then you go the other 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oopsie. Like that. See how I'm splitting it up? Okay, I don't know where the other ones went, but I'm going to use this one to split it up some more. And then when you go to the back, you count 6. Like that. So to make it simpler, on this side you have 6 pseudobulbs, that's 1 lead, and then on this side you have 6 pseudobulbs, that's another lead, and over here you have 6 pseudobulbs, which is another lead. So what you do, you're left with 4 in the middle. So what you do is you just add the 6 plus the 4. So this plant is 10 years old. So this is how you determine how old your plant is. So going back to the question about, now that you learn how to tell how old your plant is, this one has 4 pseudobulbs, and this one has 8 pseudobulbs. They're both in a straight line. So the oldest plant between these two is this one. This one's the oldest plant, and between these 3, this one is 4 years old, 8 years old, and this monster plant is 10 years old. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and you go out there and look at your plants and see how old they are. And I want to finish up by saying that at the end of this video, you're going to see a link to the book that I just wrote. And if you would like to get a copy to find out what happened to me, go ahead and click on the link, and it will take you to the website where you can download the book for free. And it will make you gasp. So have a nice day. Now you know how to tell how old your orchid is. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching.